All right. I'd like to start by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one pretty much is the prequel to The Harlot. And pretty much is just like a little introduction. I was watching the video that Elder Pastor Hart did earlier on Revelation 21, verses 1 and 2. And within the lesson, he had mentioned that the word harlot. And I kind of wanted to, I typed in the word harlot in the search engine, and I believe it came up 41 times. And I wanted to do a little something based off of that. And when I was going through some of the precepts, I was kind of running into other little nuggets that, Lord's will I be able to share with you brothers and sisters out there, that I ran across. And Lord's will, I'm put a little something together and go into it. But the Spirit is on me now to just do something and mention it because, a harlot, is pretty much an expert, manipulator, pretty much. She's a woman that, that looks good in most cases, and she uses her assets, as a way to get money, through sexual favors, so on and so forth. And one thing we find is that when you read the scriptures in Revelation, the 13th chapter, right, it gives you the whole beast system of Esau, from the beginning of it, the Greeks, all the way to the ending of it, which is America. Now, within that chapter, there's a point where the beast, one of the heads were wounded, as it were, to death. So pretty much, the head that was wounded to death, it pretty much, fell at that one time, and it seemed like it had died, because it did for a period of 1,000 years, according to prophecy. And once Esau goes down this time, they ain't coming back up, by the way. And it said that once the beast was healed and it came back to life, so to speak, it said that the world wondered after the beast. So this particular beast, at the end of it, the whole thing, which represents America, which took on all of the forms of the ancient Roman Empire, is that empire, or that woman, that harlot in the book of Revelation 17, that the whole world wondered after. Because when this current ruling government that we see was first being established during the time of the Renaissance Empire, there was a change in power, and there was a change, in rulerships, and there was a change in the appearance of, the people that actually ruled all throughout Europe, which were Jake, so-called Negroes, that ruled all throughout, those, what they call the Dark Ages. Now, I was trying to find this particular skit that they had on YouTube. I don't know if they still have it, but the Elder Apostle Gabar put us onto it, called The Real McCoy. And there was a scene, I'm not sure what the name of the skit was, but there was these three Jakes that came into this white supremacist office. And when they came into the white supremacist office, there was this one Edomite there, supposed to be a racist. And, he was talking about England and Mario England, so on and so forth. And the three individuals' names were comics, comics, which was an abbreviation. I forget what exactly it stood for. And they pretty much started, telling this guy that the original rulers of Europe were so-called Negroes. You still even have Moorish flags and, relics and paintings that show you that the Moors were Jakes and they conquered, certain parts of Europe for a certain period of time. Now, when they was telling them that, they mentioned like a handful of historians, One of them being David McRitchie. You know, there was others, but I can't remember their names. I have the, back home on my computer, I actually have the video that I had downloaded off of YouTube years ago. And pretty much they were going into how, these different historians like David McRitchie and others were saying that you had Jake, so-called Negroes that were ruling Europe, and they were going into history. But it's kind of hard to find now. And like I said, I don't have it. I don't have access to it. Plus, I don't remember any of the other names. I try to look up, David McRitchie, try to find out some of the quotes he gave. But, it's kind of a little obscure right now because, they're messing with Google and, rerouting you different areas. But nevertheless, that's who was taken down. And then the power that came up prior to America, which was Britain, which was in prophecy, that they would come up and eventually from that, growth or from that resurgence, you eventually have America that will come in there. And America would be the 8th head that is of all 7. And this is the beast that the world wondered after, in an alluring fashion. Just like, you have the analogy of a woman that is a harlot, and she uses her assets to gain, goods. And that's what America's done. So they have pushed that, that alluring spirit. That's what it says the world wondered after the beast. Even at one time, the elect were caught up in that until they woke up, because it said the world wondered after the beast. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the word world there is the word oikumene. But I would have to, fact check that, just to make sure. So, being that, they allured the world that way, they pretty much, that's the analogy of America as being this harlot. And through her so-called feminine wiles, she attracted people to her through her debauchery. The Apostle John was even caught up in that, so much he was scripture said that he looked at it with great admiration, so much so that the angel had to curse him out. Why did you marvel at this woman? Because that is the sentiment out here. So when the scriptures speak about the harlot in Revelation 17, it's symbolic of America with her alluring ways, And if you want to be a partaker with America, what you have to do is you have to bow down to, the policies, the regulations of America, and that's pretty much what the world has done. And the way that it was accomplished was through the world leaders of this whole world that actually, took, a sip out of that cup and became inebriated with wickedness and pretty much gave it to drink to their people, because at the end of the day, they're the ones controlling, the majority of the people in their countries. And that's how Revelation 17, it speaks about, that she made the kings drunk, with the wine of her fornication or something like that. And it said that it also made the inhabitants of the world drunk. And that was accomplished through these different leaders, these world leaders that meet up with America, in different places around the world, to hammer out policies that work in the gathering of the resources of the world through these different corporations that have been established, by America. So whenever you hear, something going on in a particular country and America's involved, they're going to paint as these people are suffering, so we got to go in there and help them. Whenever America is giving aid to a country to rebuild or whatever the case may be, that money is supposed to go to the people to help them rebuild, actually. But what it is just a way of America giving them that money, have them sign over the resources to them, and then them funneling that money through American corporations in order to gather, get the money back, and on top of that, eventually you get the resources and the lands and the peoples and all of that, because the whole way that they're doing this is by putting the world in like in a corner, so to speak, to pretty much enslave everybody through these different debts. And that's why they do what they do, and through America they've managed to get the world to comply through her seductive ways, like a harlot would do. They have a term called feminine wiles, and that's pretty much what these women do. They use that feminine wile, to allure men through deceit or whatever the case may be, so that they can receive what the men have. And usually in most cases they trade it for sex and so on and so forth. So that's what America's doing. So this great harlot, like I said, this is just a prequel, an introduction to it. Lord's will, I can put some of those precepts together that I haven't finished going through the precepts, so I want to kind of put a little something together, Lord's will, and be able to go into it and kind of paint the picture. And like I said, there were a couple of little nuggets that I found along the way that I would like to share, because you have individuals out there that'll read scriptures in English, and not fully understand what the scripture is about, just to justify their lifestyles, so to speak. All right, so like I said, Lord's will, when I get back to the house, I want to put these scriptures together, and hopefully the Spirit will jump on me to really go into it and bring that out to you. So just remember that we're at the part of the end of the beast, pretty much, and we're in the part of the beast that has caused the world to wonder after them, and especially here through America, because the world, a good portion of the world still believes that Esau, the so-called white man, is, God. He is so-called, Jesus, which is, his real name is Yahushua. And they're still caught up into that, still caught up into trying to please this devil because they think that he's the Most High. But eventually, the Lord is going to throw a monkey wrench in there, and they will not be able to, accomplish their new world order. They're only going to go so far, because the scripture said when he is about to eat, the Lord shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him. It said while he is eating. So he's going to get his new world order established to a certain degree, but that's only going to cause the greater downfall, and a quicker downfall. And one of the main things we're waiting for, for them to do and establish and push even heavier is the MOTB, which is the micro C-HIP, and that whole technology of this beast system that's going to be run economically, through digitization, this digital currency, So it's very interesting, the way everything is unraveling, and America has played the big part in deceiving the world, and seducing the world to where it's at now. So much so that they have a experiment that they've done where now everybody's behaving and acting the same way, throughout the world. It's not even an American thing anymore. It's a worldwide thing. That's why I said that the world wondered after beast, So Lord's will, let me put these precepts together and see, where the Spirit leads me. But one thing we know is that these devils are forgers of lies, and as I quote from time to time, the French philosopher Voltaire said that history is a lie commonly agreed upon, and history being a lie commonly agreed upon, who would think they're going to, lean history on the side of? They're going to lean history on the side of the people that are ruling, That's why they can say, these small hats can say whatever they want about any nation and how they need to be exterminated or whatever the case may be, and there's no backlash. There's no, appallment. The media doesn't pick up on it. and say, how dare you, you know? Even though now they're starting to bring that out a little bit, but still for the most part, you know, they can pretty much get away with saying and doing anything. But the minute somebody else talks about them and the wicked shit that they're doing and calls them out on the wicked shit that they're doing, all of a sudden they're anti-Sem, you know? Which is stupid when you go back to the three sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. You know, anyone that came out of the loins of Shem is considered a Shemite. Shem had 5 sons. You know, was it Lud, Aram, Arphaxad, Elam, I believe it was, and there's one more that I'm missing. Aram, no, I think I said Aram already. You know, so there was 5 sons that came out of him. Those 5 sons had more children. Every offspring that came out of the loins of Shem is a Shemite. You know, the ones that they, you know, pushing heavy against, you know, being anti-Sem, which are the Ishmaelites, they're Shemites. You know, the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, we're Shemites. The so-called Chinese, Japanese, they're Shemites. You know, anyone that came out of the loins of Shem is a Shemite. You know, but they have the world believing that that only applies to them. You know, which it does, because Sem is not the man's name. His name is Shem or Sham. But at the end of the day, there are more than one family of Shemites, you know, out there. You know, so there was a white supremacist dude that made a statement years ago, which people thought was an actual saying, but he said, I forgot the guy's name, but he said, do you want to know how does it go? You want to know who's in charge? You know, you want to know what people are in charge? Well, find out who you can't speak about. You know, and the people that you can't speak about, that you get hemmed up for speaking about or demonized, those are the people that are in charge. But they'll say that the small hats are not in charge of anything, when they have control of the whole world. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. You know? Salakia. They have, when they first took over America through the CFR, I believe that was back in 1921, if you do the research. I believe the first thing that the CFR, which is the Council on Foreign Relations, did, which is one of the ways that they catapulted the New World Order. When they were first established, I believe it was 1921, the very first thing they did, they bought every outlet or every media outlet out there. You know, you had newspapers, you had magazines, you had radio, you know, and eventually you control what media or what news goes out there. You control the narrative, you control the minds of the people. You know, this is why eventually people sought, you know, alternative media sources, which some of them individuals are insiders. You know, they'll bring out good information and they'll bring out some BS. But, you know, most people now that are waking up to, you know, to this ruse that these devils have pushed out there, are looking towards alternative media outlets to get their news from, because they're going to get a better, you know, source of news than you would on CNN, you know, Fox News and all those different media outlets. You know, now they're bringing out a little bit more stuff that they wouldn't bring out before, you know, and that's because, you know, we're getting closer and closer to the establishment of the so-called New World Order. So pretty much people are still pushing back, but they have all of the pretty much strongholds. They pretty much got them in check, you know, and that's why when you speak against them, people get demonized, you know. Like with us, the Hebrew Israelites, they're trying to make us or paint us out to be like some terrorists or something like that, you know, because we speak against them and we tell them that they're frauds, that they're fake, that they're not the real people, you know. So best way to destroy your enemy is by destroying his image. Because if you destroy somebody's image, most of what the person says after that, the majority of the people won't believe, because they're nothing but sheep and zombies. You know, so if you destroy a person's character by putting out false information out there, then people start looking at this individual differently. You know, being very skeptical. I don't know about that. This conspiracy theorist. You know, and that was the boogeyman of the 2000s, you know, the conspiracy theory, the T, you know, the T errors and all of that. You know, so whenever you bring out facts, they call you conspiracy theory. These numbnuts out here, you know, that don't have a clue of what the hell's going on, they immediately hear that and say, I don't gotta listen to nothing he gotta say. You could have all the facts, but because you use that term, you know, they're gonna be like, I ain't gonna listen to nothing he says because, you know, he's a conspiracy theory or a conspiracy nut. You know. So yeah, brothers, a few sisters, just stay tuned. Lord's will, I can put, you know, these scriptures together. You know, Lord's will, as soon as I can get it done, you know, I would like to get it done. You know, like we always say, you know, strike while the iron's hot. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say, Shalom.